You have an input, so think of it as a number that you put into a machine. The machine does something to the number, and then it comes out as something else. We're trying to discover the rule or the pattern. So I've drawn a picture here. The number 2 has gone into the machine, and it comes out as a 6. Then the number 5 has gone into the machine, and it's come out a 9. The number 6 went into the machine, and it came out the number 10. There's a couple of options if you only look at one of them, like 2 to turn into a 6. I could take 2 and multiply it by 3, and I would get 6. But if I try that, 5 multiplied by 3 doesn't give me 9. So I abandoned that option. So I'm trying to think of another rule. The value went up, and so instead of multiplying by 3, maybe let's try the rule adding 4. If I add 4, let's try that here. 5 plus 4 gets me to 9. 6 plus 4 gets me to 10. So we have found the rule. So each time, this one again was 2 plus 4. If we keep that rule adding 4, then 9 came from taking 5 plus 4 and keeping that rule adding 4. 6 plus 4 is what got me to 10. This input is generic, it's just the variable n. So if we keep that rule adding 4, we're like, what should go in this box here? Well, we're going to take the n and then we're going to add 4 to it. So I have n plus 4. So substituting in n, I'm going to put n plus 4. Okay, now the next ones, if you could hold those ones quiet for me, please. Okay, in the next one here, I'm not going to show quite as many options or have it written out as thoroughly, but if I have the number 3 go into the machine, and I have this color-coded backwards here, so I'm putting in the number 6, and I'm going to get out the number 3. And in this next, oh, that looks okay. So I'm putting in 6 and I get out 3. And you're thinking, well, maybe I could take 6 and divide it by 2, and that would get me to 3. Or maybe I could go 6 minus 3 and it would take me to 3. Those are a couple of options. Let's try that out. Let's try out just the dividing by 2. So 14 divided by 2 gives me 7. I put into the machine 18. 18 divided by 2 is 9. So it looks like we found our rule. So we're going to have the n divided by 2. Okay, so then this next one, looking again at the input-output, we're putting in, and I have these backwards, we're putting in, oh no, this one's okay. We're putting in the number 6, and we're getting out the number 4. So we're thinking, what did that machine do to the number? And it did make it smaller, and it went down by 2. So maybe the rule is subtract 2. If we try that on the rest of them, if I put in an 8 and we subtract 2, we'll get 6. I put in a 9, I subtract 2 and I get 7. So if I put in n, I'm going to subtract 2. Okay, last example. 1 goes into the machine and comes out the number 5. So 1 goes in, 5 comes out. It increased in value and it went up by 4. That would be one way, is just to add 4, but another option would be to multiply by 5. If we tried the add 4, because it would make sense in the first one, if I take 2 plus 4, it won't get me to 10. So the rule doesn't work when I try to apply it to the next one. And so thinking of how I get from 1 to 5, I could also, instead of adding 4, I could multiply 1 by 5. And when we continue trying that rule, 2 multiplied by 5 is 10. 8 multiplied by 5 is 40. So the machine is multiplying the number that goes in by 5. If the number that goes in is n, then we're going to multiply that number by 5. If you wanted to, you could do n times 5, but it's a little bit easier or a little shorter to write, having the number in front to show multiplication. So I put 5n. So in summary, you want to try to think of what the machine is doing to the number that goes in to get what comes out. And if you think of something, you need to try it on each one of them to make sure that it's true for all of the numbers that go into the machine. And then once you have the pattern, then whatever you did to the blue numbers to get to these, you're going to do to n.